From the CNET studios in San Francisco, California, it's the Apple Byte Extra Crunchy podcast with your host, Brian Tong.
Just like Houdini, I appear all the way from Los Angeles, California. We are here for the Apple Byte Extra Crunchy episode 26. And before we get started, we just want to know we are going more global, more internet-ish than ever. You can find us now on TuneIn. You can find us on SoundCloud. We know you see us on YouTube. We know you see us on Livestream. We also do the Periscope, but not this week because I'm remote. But, you know, what are we calling it? Internet-wide? Worldwide?
Worldwide. We're global. We're a global internet company.
I mean, we were global even if no one was listening, and we were just throwing this up somewhere.
Yeah, shout out to everyone. Tune in. We're on TuneIn platform now, SoundCloud. So go follow us on those places if that's what you're into, if those are the apps you like to use.
Yeah, if you like the iTunes, you can do that. You know, whatever you like. So, again, also to be a part of our show, you guys can call us at 1-800-616-2638. That is the number. You leave your name, where you're from, get to your message, get to your question. We will throw you in your show. We got a ton of people for this week as well. You guys keep on filling up our voicemail box, so we appreciate that a lot.
Yes.
Okay, we know tons of news this week in the Apple world, but we start off with the big one, right? The Apple versus the FBI, right? These two large entities, and pretty much you've had to have heard something about this. The latest in the story is that Apple is getting a little more time to argue against a court order that would force it to break into the iPhone of the shooter in a terrorist attack, right? This is the San Bernardino terrorist attacks that killed 14 people. An iPhone is one of the key pieces of evidence. There's like an 18-minute window of time where FBI officials and investigators want to know what happened in that window of time, and they want Apple to basically get into the iPhone. So the FBI is ordering Apple to help them, and basically they're suggesting that Apple build a backdoor into iOS, which does not exist right now, in order for them to gain access to data like this and in future situations. Tim Cook, right? I'm not sure. Did you see the letter, Stephen, of how he said, no, we're not going to do this?
Yeah, he said, no, we're not going to do this because it would endanger the privacy of every customer who has a smartphone. It makes sense to me, Tim Cook's argument, but it's a slippery slope. Like once you unlock one phone, then they're going to be able to unlock all phones. But the FBI's argument is that they just want to unlock this one phone. So that's that's how they're trying to frame their argument. But still in the letter, Tim Cook even points out, like, look, we've been working with the FBI. We have people that work at Apple that are dedicated to helping the FBI when they have these kind of claims and stuff like that. So especially after the San Bernardino tragedy. So it's very interesting what's going to happen, and they're just Apple's saying, no, we're not going to do it.
I mean, we all know, the right to privacy of your own information. That is a right. And the whole argument really is once you do this once, you can always say you can do this once, but it's never going to stop there. And here's just kind of like a little history of what Apple had to go through previously that really informed Tim Cook of why he chose to speak out on behalf of keeping our digital devices private. So let's say before iOS ever had any way to get access to the data, we're talking about, iOS 5, iOS 6, iOS 7. There were times where government officials, they basically would send a request to Apple to help them to extract data from the phones. And then it wouldn't be that easy though, right? Apple would have to bounce it back with their legal team, decide the merits of the request and what was asked of them on a case-by-case basis, and then say, okay, we will work with you on turning over this phone's data. They used to do that, but as they kept on, as it became a more gray situation, then it really informed them to put in encryption that is done by the actual user, right? You and me. We all have a basic right to privacy. Now, some of the other things that really kind of heightened why people are sensitive about this, including Apple, is everyone knows about Edward Snowden and how he leaked information about what the NSA was doing. But some of that information revealed was that they had hacked, they were hacking into our computers, making like a kind of their own kind of versions of of Apple software to try and compromise the products to get access to the data. They were embedding spy tools in Apple's hardware, even and like I said, even modifying Apple's software update that allowed the government to analyze every keystroke. Okay, so they had shown in the past that they weren't just asking Apple for requests. They were doing things on their own to be able to gain access to our digital devices in any way they could. So when you think of that, and then you think about, okay, let's move forward. Here, Apple, help us create a way to get into our phone. But look at what they've done historically. Can, the government's role is to keep us safe as well as to use what other methods they can to protect us by pulling this information, but there's also a right to privacy. It's that battle. So I'm all behind what Tim Cook said. Google's Sundar Pichai chimed in, also was in alignment with Tim Cook. Jack Dorsey of Twitter and others also are in alignment with Tim Cook. And this is a big issue. Technology has changed how we live our lives. It's not the same. You can't. It's the way that they track people. Everyone uses their devices now is instead of like, yeah, there's still credit cards, there's still emails, but our digital devices hold so much personal information. That's what you have to really use to be able to kind of sometimes get this data. But I still don't think we should build a backdoor.
No, like Tim Cook sees the iPhone almost as an extension of you. It's like it's your identity in there. A lot of personal information, financial, banking information, everything. So I totally agree with what he's saying. It's tough. It's tough to say that you don't want the FBI to help catch terrorists, but
It goes deeper than that, right?
yeah, it's so complex. It's like really hard to say that. But I mean, who knows what could happen? They can crack in the phone and find nothing. But I'm all about privacy and keeping our phones safe. From everybody, from all kinds of hackers.
When I even look at this overall story of the two terrorists in San Bernardino, they had kind of an accomplice on the outside who they have arrested, they have in custody.
Yeah.
But will those eight? We know a lot about their movements, what they were doing now, how they prepared for this attack. But do those 18 minutes? Will they change anything? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Will they really change anything? And so by building this key to get into your phone, just to get a sneak peek of 18 minutes that at least the FBI claims they're blind to, but they have all these other pieces just to get a better understanding. Even at that, I don't see that it's a valid argument.
Yeah,
so
this is probably going to go all the way up to the highest court. The
Supreme Court for sure.
Supreme Court. So we'll see. Stay tuned to CNET. We'll be on top of this, of course.
Yeah, the deadline for Apple to respond to this court order is now February 26th. It was originally going to be 5 days from the request, which would have placed it at Tuesday of next week, I believe. 5 business days at least. So Apple has that. I just wanted to kind of quickly, just for listeners who, because it helped me kind of to really understand how does Apple protect a phone versus what the FBI is really requesting. So there's just like a few points of really how Apple initially protects the phone. First of all, right, a user can enable an iPhone to completely wipe its data after 10 incorrect passcode attempts. You've done that where you've totally forgot your password. You just keep on hitting it, you can hit it. And then finally,
Yes.
Once you do it over and over and over, there is an option to erase the data. You don't have to, but that's one of the ways Apple protects your iPhone. Also, your passcode that you enter in, the second thing is this passcode works in tandem with a unique ID that's actually fused into the phone, right? Think of it as like a alphanumeric serial number that knows that this passcode is with this specific phone that Apple and its suppliers do not know. So the passcode that we enter is then coded into our phone, but no one knows it except us, the person who put in the passcode, right? Yeah. That's the protection that the FBA wants to break. The other aspect of this is that iOS adds an 80 millisecond delay between passcode attempts. So check this out. It would take you 5.5 years to try every lowercase letter and number combination on a new iPhone 6S in order to break that. So you're not going to. 5.5 years versus 80 millisecond delay between passcode attempts. It's literally impossible. Okay.
I know.
So those are the three ways. Those are 3 ways. I mean, maybe you could be.
You could totally screw up and just get locked out of your phone forever, and then you're screwed.
Look. The easiest thing, you could probably break into half of everyone's phones with the passcode 1234
That's
or
right.
0000. So the FBI shouldn't be worried about that. Now,
Yeah.
this is what the FBI actually wants from Apple themselves. They want to disable the auto erase function so that it would permit unlimited passcode attempts. Why would they want this? The FBI also wants to be able to submit passcodes to the iPhone via through its like lightning port, and then use something like a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or other device to basically enter in the numbers. So for example, right now you can only physically press them with your finger, right?
Yeah.
They want to be able to use like a machine to plug into the iPhone to enter in all these codes, as many as
So
possible,
it's just like
right?
a computer just totally
Yes,
trying to hack, just trying to find the right number of combinations forever.
exactly. And then they also want to remove the automated delays between a passcode attempt. So they don't want to put this 80 millisecond delay in between it so that you basically could brute force entry. What we mean by brute force is, right, just hit every combination possible until you hit
Yeah.
it, to get access to the iPhone.
I've seen
So that's
Mission
what.
Possible enough times to know this is a bad idea where they put in like a code, like a little card into a thing and it goes like,
Yep.
brrrr, and it finds the numbers. I know this is a bad idea. So
John Connor had that back in Terminator 2. We saw what happened in that movie, all right? I don't want that.
yeah,
I do not want that.
Armageddon, people.
So and then just to kind of wrap this story up, I did throw up a poll on my Twitter account at Brian Tong. I'm not trying to plug it. If you guys have comments or thoughts that you want to bring up during the show, just tweet me at Brian Tong. I look at it while the show's going on. But here's kind of a look at the poll and the result. We had 922 people respond, and because it's not the easiest thing, just to you think about it, but it is gray. 15% believe that Apple should build a backdoor for iPhones, while 85% of our respondents said no. So, Stephen and I are, when we are on the side of no, again, I see your argument for why we should give the FBI access. I just think it goes beyond this case. It's more of a long term, what will the government do with that power, right?
Yeah, just a side note too is that someone mentioned it in the live stream comments, actually in the live stream chat. If you're watching on live stream, that the Congress is meeting today, and they're talking about ways to change this law about encryption so that they will be able to get into phones in the future. They won't have to get FBI. They won't have to get letters from the FBI to get people to unlock phones. So let's look for that. We got to keep an eye out on that too, because that's going down right now. Like they're talking about it today in Congress.
Yeah,
So
the thing is that laws are going to change based on how we live our lives, but some of the constitutional rights that we have. Look, I'm sure they were able to get access to the emails of these terrorists. That's not locked by the phone, right? If they wanted to know every single location these people were based on their phone in that 18-minute window, maybe that helps them. But they still have access to credit card statements, phone activity, emails, and then general surveillance cameras. You can still piece together a puzzle from that
can
alone,
you still use
right?
cell towers to pinpoint where they were while they were using their cell phones? Does that still work where they use like
I'm
three different towers?
triangulation.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
I think
I've seen
that's still a thing, right?
I've seen 24. They still definitely do that.
Yeah. Because it's just
Like,
wherever your phone pings a tower, then they can find
yeah.
those three towers. And I see, yeah.
So, we'll keep an eye on this story. I mean, this is something that's going to have future implications. It's a big story, and it just so happens that Tim Cook and Apple is at the center of this. It's almost kind of like the tech world versus the government right now,
Yeah,
because
totally.
right, it's Twitter.
It's like that with Uber, with so many tech companies right
Oh,
now.
plenty of 'em.
SpaceX, Uber, everyone's fighting the government. So
So just a lot of implications. I mean, it's a really intriguing story to me. It's why we can talk about it so much. We'd love to hear what you guys and gals think about this. To me, I'm not about saying there is a right answer or a wrong answer. I just want to hear what your thoughts are. So you can call us at 1-800-616-2638. See how I had to scroll up and look
yeah,
at the phone number? I was like,
I saw you looking for it on the screen.
1-800. Everyone can see that I can't remember this stuff all the time. So just give us a call. We can't wait because I'm sure we're gonna hear it from a lot of you. about this issue. But let's just keep on rolling on. Last week, we talked about Error 53. This was the issue where people that might get their iPhones serviced by a third-party company. I did talk about like if your screen was broken, but really and it was incorrect, right? It really applies to the home button. In addition, getting damaged, there's a cable connector to that home button. But again, it's also the Touch ID button that stores all of your Touch ID data. And recently we had heard, right, Apple bricked all phones that were not able to validate that this was an authentic part. Well, Apple is apologizing and has released an update to the latest iOS. And this is not a new version of iOS. It's still like 9.2.1, but it's an updated version to restore any iPhones that have been disabled by Error 53.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
That's a good Apple, man.
That is a good Apple.
To be honest, though, I think they're doing this as well to get ahead of the fact that there's been a lawsuit filed, like a class action lawsuit filed against them. And this is kind of a preemptive way to say, hey, we actually realize we made a mistake. We're going to make sure the consumers are okay. We're going to let them know about this, but this is what we'll do for now. Like if there was no lawsuit, I don't know if we'd actually see them fix this.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Totally. It's definitely a response. Right? And how long ago did this all come to light? Maybe like 6 months ago or so?
Well, no, actually the Error 53, only became a really big issue about a couple weeks ago because the latest software update, iOS 9.2.1, when it was released, people were like, why are phones breaking now all of a sudden? Like, what is this error?
It's just a little patch then. That's cool.
Exactly. Right. So they're not changing the number to like iOS 9.2.1 non-brick edition. It's like just iOS 9.2.1.
Non-brick edition.
The good one. So if for any of you listening or know people that are having this issue, you can go get that restored with the latest and updated iOS. All right, this is another story. Just a lot of stuff happening in the courts with government entities, federal entities like the FCC, which this has been kind of talked about for a while. I love this story, right?
This is a good one.
But the FCC just took really the biggest first step towards changing the cable box business. So in a 3 to 2 vote,
very close vote.
The FCC, very close. The FCC has decided to move ahead with a proposal that would have far-reaching consequences for how cable customers like you and I watch TV, allowing us potentially to go through third parties for their set-top systems.
Yes.
Rather than being tied to the cable box that comes with the cable service that we all know we are at the moment required to use.
Yes.
Right?
Which would be awesome because I pay like a $10 HD fee for my stupid cable box.
Of course you do.
Like,
of course you do.
What is that? An HD fee? Come on.
On top of a rental fee for the box.
Yeah, exactly.
You instead of just paying a flat, like, let's say, really those boxes are probably like, they're just interpreting the signal. It's like those boxes are probably like $7,900, like flat.
They're so cheap. Like they're like
even cheaper than that, actually.
Yeah, they're sitting in piles at the Comcast cable center or whatever, But and then also it'll take in your signal and it'll in some cases make your signal crappier. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if it's straight out of the wall, you get a really nice signal to your TV. But if it's going through the box, then it looks a little like the refresh rate is screwed up and it just doesn't look as clean. So
what does this mean for us, right? We have been begging. This is actually an opportunity, if this goes through, for companies like Samsung, for companies like Google, for obviously Apple with their whole Apple TV push, to basically, ideally in the future for us, build their own cable set-top box that then just takes the signal from the wall, and then we use whatever cool kick-butt software they have to allow us to watch those cable streams.
And we can stream stuff to our phone. I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of great stuff.
It would be app-based as well. The cable companies have argued that the future, like by allowing this to happen, they're saying, oh, it could leave us entirely behind. And I'm like, dude, cable box companies, let's be real. Other than, I finally got to use the X1 interface. I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm in the future-ish for Comcast. But cable boxes have been in our homes for what, 20, 30, how many years? Yeah,
Yeah,
at least 20
20,
plus
20,
years.
30 years. Yeah,
And really, have we really seen any innovation
not really.
with cable boxes? Not really
No.
until like literally 2015,
Yeah,
right?
seriously.
I'm not even kidding, right? We had old dingy menus. It was they were slow.
They still look
Finally
crappy. Menus
X1
still
looks
look crappy.
decent. Yeah,
I haven't
and
seen
like
X1.
X1 is actually looks nicer, but it's slower. It has voice speech where you can be like, uh, sorry, since we are a CBS owned company, CBS, and then it'll like go to the network. I'm like, okay, even though I could have just punched in the numbers, but see, the cable companies like should be worried about this. They've had the opportunity of a lifetime. They're a box that's in every living room. They could have done so much more with them, right? So even some, I can imagine, I really envision something like the Xbox One that has the ability to put in cable, but it's kind of restricted because you have the way that it talks to the cable operator that you're with. Forget that. In the future, you just pop in your cable signal, and then it's like this really cool, elegant interface that feels cohesive with the entire set top box that you're using.
Yeah, that would be awesome, man. Like, I'm dealing with crappy looking cable. The one thing that would you would have to lose is like on demand sort of things, like Comcast
True.
has on demand stuff. So, I mean that would be some things you'd have to be able to live without. But
Mhm.
Xbox has already been doing this too, right? You can use your Xbox as a cable set top box.
Well, the main thing is like you're right about the whole on-demand feature, but my take is that look, because most of these set-top boxes will have a hard drive of some sort, then as long as you basically program your third-party set-top box to record whatever, that's kind of like your on demand because you kind of know the shows.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
I
know
see.
I don't know how many times I've actually gone into on demand and said I'm gonna go find a brand new show to watch. You might, it helps you, but more often than not, I go to on demand to find shows that I actually already watched. I just want to watch them later
That's true. That's
because
true.
I haven't recorded them, right?
Yeah, that's how I use it too. I never go looking for any new content on demand. That's for sure.
I mean, sometimes a friend says, "Oh, check the show out," but and then I'll like DVR it or something. But it does serve a purpose. I'm not saying on demand is great with kids though, because they just go into that Disney thing and they just watch like
Oh
10
yeah.
shows, right? It's like on demand your babysitter. But really, as you move toward more app based stuff, you get access to like Disney's the content through their app and all these other. Comcast has an app themselves. They're not going to limit you from using that either if you already pay for the cable service, right? I can look at Comcast stuff through my digital device already. So
Yeah.
right now, where this is at is this proposed rule change is going into what they call a comment period, where basically businesses and customers are going to be able to weigh in on the issue. This will be ahead of revisions before they come to a final vote. So we're still months away. To me, this is exciting as a consumer. It's a no-brainer for a consumer. It's still a close 3-2 vote, but it's being moved along, and this is better than anything we've seen in I don't know how many years, right?
Yeah. That's very cool.
I think also though another issue that might come up is that you have this idea of like, oh yeah, everyone will be able to build like their own third-party cable set-top box. Let's be real, it's going to be like Google, Apple, and Samsung or something.
Yeah.
like, although it opens it up, there's gonna be like three companies that basically become the cream of the crop, right?
Yeah. Totally.
But as long as we don't have to pay a subscription fee for a cable box, I'm okay with that.
I'm super happy about that.
You
Please make
know,
it happen.
and I don't know. I feel like Apple's always complain about because the cable industry is very like tricky, and for example, Comcast has a more dominance in certain areas of the same city, where then like Time Warner, they have like kind of like agreements where, oh yeah, you take this area, you take that area, you take this area, and you're forced to use a cable service based on where you live, not because I want Comcast at my fiance's apartment. Guess what? There is no Comcast here. It's
Nope.
only Time Warner.
That's right.
That
It's
sucks,
very regional. Yeah.
right? So you then eliminate that aspect as well, which is awesome.
It's all good. More
It's all
innovation. Let's do it.
it's all good in the hood. Another cool story as we continue on, just a little update about the iPhone 5 SE and the iPad Air 3. A Bloomberg feature recently profiled Johnny Srouji. He's the Apple chief chip designer, basically responsible for designing the A9 processor, the A8 processor. And they kind of did this profile about what they went through and how basically there was a point in time where they were behind the schedule in making a processor for the iPad Pro, and they were worried that, oh man, we might have to put a less powerful A8 chip in the iPad Pro, while the iPhone 6 coming out has an A9. So they like basically truncated their schedule and were able to crank out an A9X processor for the iPad Pro in half the time. It was kind of like talking about the challenges and how Apple decided to start making their own silicone. So this is just a story about that. But in the story, it revealed that and pretty much confirmed that the iPad Air 3, which is expected to come out in March, and the iPhone 5 SE, which is expected to also be announced sometime in March, will be using an A9 processor for the phone and an A9X processor for the iPad. So there you go.
That's awesome. So we got a lot of phone calls asking about the new iPads and processors. So there you go. There's your information. I like this. This article looks really cool, actually.
Yeah, it's a really cool profile. Some nice photography in there.
The server room they're in. It's crazy.
It's like that's like a modeling shot, man.
I know.
Okay, just a few more quick stories just before we get to your calls. Global smartwatch shipments have finally overtaken Swish. Can you say Swish watch really fast? I bet you can't say
Swish. Swish
No,
watch.
Swish watch.
It becomes one word.
Let's do it. Another contest, guys. You call us. Let's see who can say Swiss watch shipments. Seriously.
You can't.
Swiss watch shipments 5 times fast. It's impossible. Swish watch shipments. You can't do it. I can't even do it on two. If someone successfully calls us 1-800-616-2638 and leaves us a very clean Swiss watch shipments 5 times fast, we're going to give you a prize. We're going to give you something.
Awesome.
We're going to hook you up. Okay. Should I get back to the actual story? I didn't even talk about this. So, for the first time, smartwatches have surpassed Swiss watch sales. The Apple Watch itself captured 63% of that global market, which is an estimated 5.1 million sales in the third quarter. Samsung trailed with about 16%, with an estimated 1.3 million sales. Basically, Apple and Samsung together accounted for 8 in 10 of all smartwatches shipped. But
wow.
yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
Smartwatch. Let me see this real quickly. Oh man, I can't pull it up right now. But percentage wise, or at least basically in total sales, global smartwatches rose to an estimated 8.1 million units, whereas Swiss watch sales totaled 7.9. It's the first time they've been down compared to 8.3 million the quarter before. And so now we're kind of finally seeing that point where one's going down, one's going up. My hands aren't even moving the right direction.
That's crazy. I wonder if that's going to if Swiss watches, the value of them is going to increase. They're like antique cars or something. Rare.
I totally see that happening.
That's
eventually.
Cool. That's kind of cool.
all of a sudden, because you said that, next quarter they're like, Swiss watch sales have surpassed smartwatch sales. Yeah,
it's teetering.
They're like, yeah, it's totally like
because of an Apple Byte Extra Crunchy podcast.
It started right here. It started right here. So that's kind of another cool tidbit. And then just a couple other small kind of things going on with Apple. Apple is offering a new payment plan. They have basically like 3 different kind of trade-in payment plans, but this one is a new one where basically you can trade up your old iPhone or even Android phone or Windows phone, apply that value of the device to a new iPhone, and then pay off your new gadget in installments over 24 months. It's only applied to the U.S. stores right now in Apple stores, physical Apple stores in the U.S. So it's a new plan. It's not like this has nothing to do with their the whole plan where you just like trade in your phone straight up for amount of dollars based on how much it's been damaged. This is a trade up and then spread the remaining costs over 24 months to you. So, just giving us options.
This is the plan that I dodged by one day while I was in Detroit when I did the upgrade. It was like the last day you can upgrade, and I dodged it. I was so happy.
Dang, that's
Yes.
super good. That's super good. And then finally, just for MacBook users, I don't know if I actually know a lot of you have been probably affected by something like this, but Apple has extended their MacBook Pro repair extension program. This dates back to 15-inch MacBooks Pros and 17-inch MacBook Pros sold between 2011 and 2013. Okay,
Gosh.
that had problems with this like flickering, liney, distorted video. Basically the repair program was set to expire as of February 27th, I believe, this month, but they've extended it one more year. So, pretty much 4 years to get this issue fixed, or if it pops up, they're taking care of you. It's a good thing that they extended a year. I actually typically 3 years after, 4 years after. I mean, people are looking for a laptop around 4 years or 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some of y'all are looking for a laptop like every 6 months, but this doesn't apply to you.
Yeah,
This
that
doesn't
is
apply to
good.
rich people. Don't listen to this. Don't listen. They're like, this is a useless story because I'm rich. Okay. Should we go check out the phone calls that everyone's been calling us with?
Yeah, thank you guys for calling in. We have a few here. And the first one is from Mike from Canada.
Hey, this is Mike from Canada. My question is, where do you see the iPod in regards to like the iPod Nano and the iPod Shuffle from a year from now? Thank you. Love the podcast, and see ya.
Hey, Brian.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
come on, beach 'em. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, Canada, baby. Where do we see the iPod? It's still. I mean,
It's still kicking, huh?
it's still there.
It's still out and kicking.
It's still there-ish.
But what about like the old like traditional iPod? Is that like, I'm not talking about the one with the screen, but like a traditional just music iPod. Does that still exist?
It's kind of really more like the iPod Touch now.
Oh, okay, I see.
I mean, you can still you can still get like, I mean, basically, if I recall right, I swear I'm pretty sure they discontinued the iPod Classic, which was like the last remnant of that physical,
That was
and it was because of the parts. Yeah, they did.
that was during our last Apple keynote thing that we did, right?
Yeah, it was like, I think they did it. Yeah, or I feel like they did it like somewhere like the end of 2014ish, maybe early 2015.
Yeah.
But they're like, it's been about a year, right? They're like, or maybe a little more than that. But I know they discontinued the iPod Classic. So, I mean, if he's asking what's going to happen more to the iPod Touch in the Shuffle, I think they're going to still exist. They're just going to maybe get a processor boost every 2 years. I mean, they're not going to keep on iterating those anymore. At least the iPod Touch, they haven't really. They'll add new colors, but there's going to always be at least a spot for the iPod Touch because there are still kids that a parent is not going to buy them a phone yet. And so that's like an entertainment device. They can still message people, but they just aren't going to set them up with like a cell phone plan yet.
Yeah. That's
like my brother.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, my brother-in-law. My niece has an iPod Touch, and then she has one of those like Wi-Fi hotspots that's connected to a carrier, but it's limited data, and she knows that, and so she can use it once in a while, but it's not like it's a true phone all the time, and you don't have to pay, like $70-$80 a month for that. So
Yeah.
I think that, man, I mean, Beecham, you're gonna feel that. That's gonna hit your wallet
Oh yeah.
when you get there, man.
It's
Hit
all
it.
good. I'm still working out with my iPad 3G, third generation.
Wait,
Okay.
you said iPad.
Yeah, I still have my.
Where-
That's what my kids. That's what I gave my kids. They got my
Oh, I thought you
iPad
said
third generation.
I thought you said you work out. Like,
No, it's still working.
like, yeah, I thought you meant like you work out at the gym with an
Oh
iPad.
no! Never will do that. That would look
Okay.
ridiculous.
All
Okay,
right.
next phone call is about a video Brian just made recently, actually.
Hey, Brian. Hey, everybody. I saw your video on Netflix, how to sync Netflix with your beloved. It was very romantic, a very touching video. Anyway, I've been thinking about what if you're with your boo and you want to share a song with them. You know, you might be walking by the university and she might be in her other place, wherever, and you want to share a song together. I was thinking about that. Is there an iOS app for that kind of thing? Maybe Brian, you could do another video about music sharing.
He's really feeling that.
He's way into it.
There is actually, I didn't really feature it because I kind of like the idea of just like one big full screen experience when watching Netflix, but there's basically an app and people are like, "Oh, why don't you show off Rabbit?" It's if you go to the website rabb.it. It's called Rabbit. It's an iOS app. I believe it's also available on Android as well. But it's an app that'll let you watch things like Netflix, let you watch things like YouTube and music, and you can sync it. And there's also like a video chat component involved in it. It works on mobile devices. It does also work on your desktop. I just like the other feature for people that don't know what he's talking about. I did a video about how to sync Netflix with your long distance lover. And so the website that I go to, it only works in the Chrome browser, but it's called showgoers.tv. It's spelled like it sounds. And basically you add an extension from showgoers.tv. And then whenever you watch Netflix, you can send a link to someone that is also in the Chrome browser that also has this extension. And then they instantly jump into your Netflix with you and you guys can watch it together and chat and everything. It's super cool. And I like the fact that you can throw your image from your laptop to a TV screen and then just hang back and sit and watch it. So Rabbit is another one, rabb.it. That's kind of like the one that works on multiple devices, but it's like a big screen experience when I'm watching my Netflix. So yeah, there's the answer.
That's cool.
Go do it with your boo or your bae.
All right, a couple more calls. Here we go.
Hey, Brian, do you think that the next iPhone is going to be waterproof? Thanks. Why?
Will the next iPhone be waterproof?
It'll be water resistant.
Water resistant.
You can splash water on it.
Are current iPhones water resistant right now?
They are to a certain degree. I mean, there's been tests where people basically although they don't recommend it, and they never will outright say it's waterproof, where you could put it in water and it'll still work for a while. I think like there's a video where a guy put his iPhone under water for like 20 or 30 minutes and it still worked perfectly fine afterwards, something that I'm not going to do. But yeah, they're water resistant, but they'll never, making an iPhone completely waterproof would probably increase the size of it by 0.1 millimeters, and I don't think that's something Apple's willing to do.
Yeah, no. And it'll be heavier too, so.
It's just one of those. It's just one of those things.
Okay, here's our last call of the day from BJ.
Hi, this is DJ, and I think the 5S is just going to have all the 6S features or 6 features, but in the 5S form, and probably going to have a rose gold edition. Bye.
So he thinks the 5SE is going to have, or I'm sorry, what was it? Yeah. The 5SE was going to have all the or the S6, the 6S features, he said, and be rose gold. So there you go, guys.
Well, look.
That's his prediction.
We don't need to do this show anymore. Why doesn't he just take over the show? We'll take a few weeks off, go to Hawaii. I don't know, you could do something with your family, Steven. Let's just not do this anymore. We're out of a job. We're out of a job, man.
BJ. He's the host.
It's the BJ Byte. The BG. It's the BJB. All right, guys and gals. That's pretty much gonna do it from us here. Are you good, Beecham?
I'm good, man. Yeah.
Are you good to go?
We're
all right.
clear.
So, just remember, guys. Swish watch.
Swish watch shipments, right?
I can't wait to hear this. Again, 1-800-616-2638. Thanks so much for hanging out with us with the Apple Byte. We'll be back in studio together next week, I believe.
Yes.
See where they send us. All right, peace. Take care.